I have been on somewhat of an accidental makeup low buy lately, mostly because there just hasn't been that much new that's really caught my eye. So today we are going to do a full face of nothing new using my drugstore favorites, all of which will be listed and linked in the description box below, as usual. So if you are excited to see how I got this full face of mostly drugstore favorites, throw this video a thumbs up and let's get into it. I completed my morning skincare on my dry 64-year-old skin about a half an hour ago, so everything is really soaked in. Now I do wear SPF every single day. I have an entire wardrobe of SPFs that I rotate through, but on days where I am filming a makeup video, I almost always use my Dermatology Broad Spectrum SPF 45. And the reason is this is untinted, does not leave a white cast. It is moisturizing yet not overly glowy, so as not to alter the finish or the tint of the foundation I am showing you. Anyway, I always start my makeup with a peach corrector. Now I have been loving the Dermatology Luminous Peach Corrector SPF 41 that I talked about last week, but that is not drugstore. So today I am using my beloved Pixie Peach Corrector. You can see how well used and well loved this is. I have repurchased this so many times. This has been my go-to the past several years until the Dermatology Corrector, but this is still a good one. Anyway, I'm going to go in with my Real Techniques Deluxe Crease Brush, and I use this to neutralize and correct that dark blue in the inner corners of my eyes. I just sort of pat it in place. This enables me to use less concealer and sometimes enables me to skip concealer altogether. Okay, so here is with peach corrector and here is without. I hope you can see it really does cancel and neutralize that dark blue inner corner. There are some really good foundations available at the drugstore. But I have to say, I think L'Oreal has the most options in terms of high quality foundations. In fact, I did a video a couple of years ago where I reviewed and ranked 8 or 9 different L'Oreal foundations. I will link it below. And the L'Oreal True Match Super Blendable came out on top. Now, this one comes in 42 shades, which is absolutely unheard of at the drugstore. It is a beautiful foundation, but I only have it in the shade 3N, which is my summer shade, so I'm not going to use that one today. Another excellent foundation, actually, the Revlon Super Luminance foundation was my #1 favorite foundation that I discovered in 2023. I have my best of 2023 video, which I will put in the cards and below. Anyway, this beat out many of the high-end foundations. I loved it so much, I have it in 2 shades. Both my winter shade, which is 209, and my summer shade, which is 213. But I wanted to show you a foundation that I haven't talked about very much lately, although it is a tried and true favorite, and it is the Wet n Wild Photo Focus Dewy. Now this is also my most affordable foundation at under $10. Sometimes you can even find it for under $5. This is an iconic classic. It is vegan, cruelty-free, alcohol-free, does not contain SPF. It does contain fragrance. Now the fragrance is light, it doesn't bother me, but it is worth noting. This is recommended for normal to dry skin, and I have to say this works beautifully on my dry, mature 64-year-old skin. This has a really lightweight moisturizing formula, buildable medium coverage, and it does have a long-lasting hydrating glow, not overly dewy, just a really pretty soft radiance. Now, if you have more combo to oily skin, you might check out the original Wet n Wild Photo Focus, which is more of a matte version. Now this does come in 20 shades on the Wet n Wild website, but very often drugstores only have about half the shades. So if you can't find your shade at the drugstore, check out the Wet n Wild website. I have it in the shade Bisque Buff, which is just a tad too deep for me, so I am going to mix it in with just a touch of, I can't read it, this is an ivory shade. I will put all the shades in the description box below. Anyway, I'm gonna give it a good shake. You know, the only thing I do not love about this foundation is I wish it had a pump. I am not super crazy about the plastic spatula, but I'm just going to put a little bit of this on the back of my hand. There is the consistency, and this is the Buff Bisque. Like I said, it's just a tad too deep, so I'm going to add just a touch of this ivory color. And there is the ivory and there is the Buff Bisque, and I'm just going to sort of blend these together and apply it to my face. I'm going to do half of my face so that you can see the coverage. And I do go in fairly lightly. I am going to use my BK Beauty, what is this, 106 foundation brush, and just sort of press it in. Boy, that blends in really easily. Okay, so here it is on half of my face. No foundation. Let's get it on the other side. Now, I always finish my foundation by pressing it in with a damp, rougher sponge just to make sure it is seamlessly blended into my skin. There, foundation done. Moving on to concealer. Now, I could almost get away with no concealer between the corrector and a little foundation under my eyes, but I am going to use a little bit of my favorite drugstore concealer, which is the Physician Formula Butter Glow Concealer. Now, this doesn't have the best shade range. I think they only have like 8 shades. Shade light medium, which I've been using all winter, is just a tad too light for me, so I am going to add just a tad of the next shade, which is medium. Comes with a doe foot applicator. What I love about this is it has a light to medium coverage, and it has just the most beautiful moisturizing serum-like consistency. So I'm just going to put a couple of dots, a little bit there. And then, like I said, maybe 1 dot of the medium, because I don't like that overly bright under eye. That should work out just fine. Using my Angie Hot and Flashy BK Beauty, what is this? A506, I believe. And just patting that in. Yeah. There. A little bit of brightness under the eyes, a little bit on this side. This is the lighter one. I'm really going light on concealer because I really don't need much with the corrector, and the less product that we use under our eyes, the better. Set that down there and blend that in. All right, so concealer is done and the foundation has really dried down pretty nicely. It just feels like really nice moisturized skin. Now, very often I don't use any powder at all, especially during the winter, but we are getting into the warmer weather, so I am going to go in for a very light set with my favorite drugstore powder, and it is the Physicians Formula Butter Glow Translucent Setting Powder. Now, this does a really nice job setting the makeup, taking down the shine, but it does leave a glow. And I am going to go in very lightly with a very fluffy brush and just very lightly set my T-zone and a little bit around the eye area. A very, very light set. All right, so that is the Physician Formula Butter Believe It setting powder. Really good drugstore setting powder. Another product I don't often use in the winter time, but I am starting to use it this time of year, is a bronzer. One of my favorite drugstore bronzers is the L'Oreal Infallible 24-Hour Wear Bronzer. I have it in the lightest shade, and this is one of the very few bronzers that doesn't make my, it's not too warm or too orange. Here is the shade. And I'm just going to use a very fluffy brush to very lightly just warm up my skin and give it just a bit of a sun-kissed glow. That is bronzer. Like I said, I think this comes in 8 shades, 8 or 10 shades, and I have it in the lightest shade. All the shades will be listed and linked in the description box below because I can't read it because I don't have my glasses on. Moving on to blush. I'm going to use one of my very favorite drugstore powder blushes, and it is the Essence Pure Nude Blush. I talked about this last week as a reasonable alternative to the new Rare Beauty Luminous blush. I have it in 2 shades. I can't read the shade. This is a really pretty soft pink, and this is a really beautiful peach. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to mix them together for just a sun-kissed peachy pink glow. This is a glowy foundation for sure. Let me swatch these for you before I put them on my face. So there is the pink, and there is the peach, pink, peach. They're both absolutely gorgeous. Now I am going to use the same brush that I use for bronzer because it's so fluffy, and these are really pigmented. So again, I want to use a really fluffy brush, but I am cleaning this off with my Sigma switch, which takes the pigment out of the brush so I can use the same brush for multiple different pigments, colors, and products. Anyway, like I said, I'm going to pick up a little bit of the pink and just a touch of the peach. Dab it off just a little bit. Like I said, these are pretty darn pigmented. And I'm going to start high up on the cheekbone. Yeah, look at that pigment. I'm going in so lightly. Anyway, I like to apply the blush high up on the cheekbones, but really all over the face, a little bit across the nose, on the eyelids, on the forehead, just for a really pretty, healthy flush of color. Do you see that beautiful glow? Really, really pretty. Now, in the interest of time, I am going to go off camera, do my brows and my tightline, and then we will come back and finish up with eyes and lips. Brows and tightline are done. Now for my brows, I use 2 NYX products, both in the shade taupe. I use the NYX Brow Powder Pencil. Now, I think this may have been discontinued because I'm having a really hard time finding it. So I am in the market for a new brow pencil. I use the pencil mostly on the inner corner and the outer tail where I'm losing brow hairs. But then I also use the NYX Stick It Brow Gel. This tints, volumizes, and holds. I love the little mascara wand. And again, this is also in the shade taupe. And then for my tightline, I use my old favorite, you've heard me talk about it a million times, L'Oreal Infallible Grip Gel Eye Pencil in the shade Brown Denim. Now, if you're not familiar with tightlining, it is a technique where we use an eye pencil just underneath on the waterline and in between the eyelashes to give the eyes a little bit more definition without weighing the eyes down with heavy eyeliner. It can be a little bit of a tricky technique, so I do have a Tightline 101 super easy technique on how to tightline, which I will link in the cards and in the description box below. Moving on to eyeshadow. I recently repurchased an old favorite, and it is the Revlon, I can't read it, Revlon Cream Eyeshadow, and this is in the shade Caramel. caramel, however you say it. Now this does have a very light sheen, not overly shiny or glittery, but just a really pretty neutral eyeshadow. So I am going to apply this with my finger. Let me grab my mirror and I'm just going to dab that on my lid. Really easy to apply with the finger and just sort of blend out the edges there. Look, it just has the prettiest, softest sheen, not overly shiny, but just a really pretty neutral sheen to finish the eyes up. Let me get it on the other side. Definitely one of my favorite drugstore cream eyeshadows. Okay, super easy, out the door fast, one and done eyeshadow. Just the prettiest wash of neutral color with the softest sheen. And we could absolutely stop there. But I do want to share with you my #1 all-time favorite drugstore eyeshadow palette, and it is under $10, and it is the Wet n Wild Always Naked. Love the formula, love the color story, do not love the flimsy packaging. This has just such a perfect neutral color story. Leans just a little bit cool on this side and just a tad warm on this side. Really nice mix of mattes and shimmers, and like I said, fantastic formula. Now I'm going to apply this over the cream eyeshadow, and the cream eyeshadow will act almost like a primer. So I'm going to take a fluffy rougher, I think this is a number 16, and I'm going to pick up just, let me show you the colors I'm going to use first. I'm going to use this matte tan, deepen it up a little bit with another matte, and then I'm going to use this sort of golden champagne shimmer and just a little bit of this deeper brown in the outer corner. And this is going to be our eye look. Anyway, like I said, I am going to take my Refer 16, which is a fluffy blending brush, and pick up a little bit of this light color here, tap it off, and I'm going to just dab that into the transition area. It's a pretty light color. It's a really good transition shade. So when you're applying your transition, I'm trying to keep my eyes sort of open and apply it just above and into the crease. So there is transition shade, no transition shade. And let me get a little bit on this side. I'm applying it very lightly, building up slowly. And I'm trying to keep it above this area. I'm trying not to have the eyeshadow go below that line because that could drag my eye down. But I can always clean it up with a little concealer afterwards. Okay, and then I'm going to go straight in with this shade here, sort of a champagne shimmer with a flat shader brush. And this is going to go on the inner part of the mobile lid. Oh my gosh, look at that. That has a really pretty sheen, but it's not overly glittery. Pretty, pretty, pretty. I absolutely love that shade. Just sort of patting it on the inner half, inner corner of the mobile lid. Then I'm going to take a smaller fluffy brush. This is Refer 13. You can see it's quite a bit smaller. And I'm going to use this and pick up just a little bit of this deeper shade here. This is actually almost like it's Bosley. This is actually sort of a satin. It's not quite matte, it's not quite a shimmer. And I'm going to put a little bit of that in the outer corner. And a little bit into the crease. This is a really, really simple eye look, you guys. Nothing fancy. In fact, I think I'm going to use just 3 shades instead of the 4 that I showed you. just to deepen up that outer corner just a little bit. I am taking a clean, fluffy blending brush and just blending the edges just to make sure there are no harsh lines. So that is a really easy eyeshadow look using just 3 shades. A matte transition shade, a little bit of a shimmer in the inner half, and a satin on the outer half, and eyeshadow is done. Now, usually I use my Sephora Collection eye pencil to softly line my lower lash line. That's in sort of a taupe shade, but that is not drugstore, although it could be argued that it's drugstore because it's quite affordable. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this BK Beauty, it's just a little smudger brush, pick up just a little bit of this deeper shade here, and I am going to very lightly smudge the lower lash line just on the outer half. A little bit up there as well. It's really soft, it's almost imperceptible. You really can't, it doesn't look like a harsh line. And there is the eyeliner. Moving on to mascara. I have 3 drugstore favorites. The one that I have been repurchasing the longest, at least 15 years now, is L'Oreal Voluminous Mascara. This gives tons of length and volume, almost a false lash effect. But it is a little bit difficult for me to apply this on camera. The wand is a little bit on the large side and it can be a little clumpy sometimes, so I have to take extra care with this. My other 2 favorites, one is the Maybelline Sky High Mascara. Now this does give beautiful length and volume, but it has more of a fluffy lash effect. It also has a smaller wand. It's one of those sort of plastic wands, but it's very flexible, and so it doesn't tend to, be pokey into my eye. But the one I am going to use today is also the least expensive, and it is another Essence product, the Essence Princess. This is the pink tube, and it's called Essence Volume. This has a smaller, sort of a curved wand that I find really, really easy to use. So let's get this on my eyes. It's not easy putting mascara on camera, but I start at the base, do a little wiggle, and pull it through. And I really love this wand because it sort of grips to the eyelashes to deliver the product. And with the size of the wand, it's easy to sort of catch those smaller inner eyelashes. Okay, so there is mascara, no mascara. Let's get it on the other side. And last but absolutely not least is lipstick, my favorite part of makeup. Even on no makeup days, I rarely leave the house without lipstick. It brings life to my face. Lipstick just makes me happy. Now, I don't always use a lip liner, but today I am going to use Milani's Color Statement in the shade 03 Natural. It's just sort of a nude lip liner that gives a little definition to my lips, and it also helps me stay within the lines when I'm applying a brighter colored lipstick. Now, I overline my Cupid's bow just a little bit, and I do overline just a tad, nothing too obvious, but I do use this to give my lips a little bit more volume. You can see it's just a nice nude lip liner. And I do fill in the lips a little bit because it does help the lipstick last longer. Okay, so that is lip liner. And I am going in with another Milani product. This is Milani Matte Lipstick. This is in the shade Petal, a really bright, cool pink. Okay, now this is pretty pigmented, so I'm going to go in pretty lightly. and use my finger to sort of smooth it out. Okay, now this is pretty bright and it's also matte, so I do want to add just a little shine and a little bit of peachy warmth. Now, this one is not drugstore, but I really don't have a drugstore lip gloss that fills this purpose. I am going to use my City Lips Lip Plumping Lip Gloss in the shade, what is this? San Diego. This just gives the sheerest bit of peachy warmth to this very cool lipstick. And it is a thicker formula that does last quite a while. Anyway, I love the City Beauty. Now, this is not drugstore, like I said, but it is on sale. I think City Beauty is having a 35% off Memorial Day sale. I will link the details in the description box below. Do you see how that sort of brought the coolness of the lipstick down? It just added a touch of peachy warmth. And here is the finished look. 99% drugstore. I really love how the eyes turned out. Anyway, if you enjoyed this video, please remember to throw it a thumbs up, and please share your drugstore favorites. And stay tuned, I'm working on a skin tint roundup video, an SPF video, and I'm still working on that workout video. So if you haven't subscribed already, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and the bell so you don't miss any of my upcoming videos. And with that, have yourself a great day, a wonderful week, and I hope to see you in my next video. Thank you. Bye.